Hey everybody, Rosgrease Gaming back with another video, and recently World of Warships posted another little thing in our channel about these French cruisers. So the next project will be French cruisers for us, and they have a whole line for us. Don't know all of them, but we're going to try to go through as much as we can here. The first one that they said was, now, pardon me if I ever say an incorrect name. I'm not a French person, never was. Most like Jersey accent you'll ever think of. So Bougainville. I'm gonna say Bougainville. I believe that would be the name, Bougainville. Now, from what I've been told about it, no surprises. She's gonna have three Type 40 1927 guns and have a speed of 15.5 knots. That's basically on paper what that ship was. She had three single turret guns, so nothing special about that. Now let's go to Jardin de la Garvine, which looks really cool. I mean, look at the guns on the side of the boat, where it's like a slightly older style armored and non-armored ship. It looks so cool, the pictures of this thing. She was a protected cruiser in 1903. She was placed at tier... let's see here. She's got an arrangement like a Diana or Aora, so definitely so. She's going to have possibly 8 164 millimeter guns, and she's going to probably have a speed around 23 possibly. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong, but take anything I say right off the bat with a heavy grain of salt, because I can be wrong. Alright. Next one, tier 3, which it looks very modern. It doesn't look like a World War I ship, more looks like a World War II cruiser with very high health. But if you see on the right of the ship, I see two twin triple torpedo tubes. So we might have torpedoes again with the French. Now let's gonna say Friant. She was a protected cruiser, apparently. Apparently we're getting a different project though. That was originally from a different design. She's gonna have 4 twin 138 millimeter guns. Possibly secondaries you're probably seeing that ship probably gonna be the 75 millimeter. And probably a speed around 30, they said, possibly. And the torpedoes are probably going to be 4, because if you think there's 2 on that side, there's going to be 2 on the other. They look pretty big, so let's say they're 550 millimeter. Alright. The next one, tier 4, the Dugari Trone. I'm going to say Dugari Trone. That's what it's probably going to be. Entered service in 1926. These are the first modern French cruisers. Definitely looks modern. Definitely looks a lot different. There's a float plane on the back, and I think I see torpedo tubes again. I see the 2 twins on the side there. So we'll see what happens with that. Apparently she's going to have 4 of the 155s. 4 twins, 4 of the single 75s again, and torpedoes again. Now, bear with me, I've heard that the armor is paper thin on these things. I see massive firepower, no armor to speak of. Good luck, everybody. But I see the speed's probably going to be quick, maybe 34 knots I've heard. Now, bear with me, I could be wrong. Now, let's go with this tier 5. Holy ship. Okay, we see triple guns. First triples, already in tier 5. But then again, we've seen it on the Kirov. I see torpedoes again on the sides of the ship. Let's see here. She was put in service in 1934. Same armor situation as the tier 4, I've heard. But she's got 3 triples possibly of 152 millimeters, one dual and two singles of the 90 millimeter secondaries. And now we're starting to see the anti-air. 4 single 37 millimeters, 4 dual 132 Hotchkiss guns, the 2 twin 550 again torpedoes of C again possibly. And the speed looks like is going to be possibly 34 knots, but maybe it'll be quicker. That is a very small ship, looks like. But we'll see what happens. Now let's go to tier 6. La Gallionier? No. La Galissonier. That's one I'm going to pronounce it. La Galissonier. That's how I think it's pronounced. Again, bear with me. Don't speak French. Again, we see triple guns. They're a lot smaller, but the ship seems a lot more complex and more modern. And the torpedoes went down. I see only 2 on the sides, but I do see a lot more firepower on this ship. Let's see, she was supposedly put in service from 1936 to 37. She's got 3 again of the 152s. 4 of the twin 90s. I can see them on the sides of the ship. There's 2 in there. There's probably 2 on the other side. She's got the torpedoes again. And she's got the Hotchkiss. You can see the Hotchkiss anti-air. And I see a bunch of others on the side. So we'll see what happens with that. And the armor, possibly, it looks bulkier, but I've heard rumors of the armor being at 105 millimeters thick, which is nothing to shake a stick at for a cruiser. But we'll see what happens. Now we're getting into some more interesting stuff. Look at this tier 7, guys. This is what could have been maybe in ranks too, but we don't know. Now let's see here. A guy looks like twins, but they probably get bigger, bulkier guns. And the torpedoes again have been updated, and there's a lot more secondary guns all over the place. Alright, so this is tier 7 Algieri? She's probably the first heavy cruiser we're going to see in this game for the French. Probably only 1 built, but apparently there was only 1 built, and it was put in service in 1934. She got 4... Apparently on paper she had 4 twin 203 millimeter guns, which are pretty potent. She had 6 of the twin 100 millimeters, 4 single 37s, 4 quad Hotchkiss guns, and 2 of the triple torpedoes. And the deck was pretty thick too. Apparently the deck on paper was 110 millimeters, the deck was 80 millimeters, the traverse bulkheads were another 70, and the turret faces were another 100. So it's probably a very bulky ship. We'll have to see what happens. Now let's go to tier 8. And that smokestack is quite interesting, but it's kind of cool. So we got the triples again for the torpedoes, the float plane, secondaries all over the place in this thing, torpedoes hiding like the Japanese used to have or do have. Excuse me. The cruiser designed apparently developed in the mid 1930s, 39, breaking away from building a treaty cruiser, but not all the way. So apparently this ship was designed still during the peace treaty, but they were trying to break it because they knew that the enemy was possibly going to be a major threat, and their threat was the Germans because of the northern seas, and they were right up close. Apparently she had 3 triple 203 millimeter guns, presumably at 50 calibers in length. She had 5 twin hundreds, 4 double dual 37s, and of course the torpedoes again of the two triples I can see inside. Probably another 550. 550 millimeter torpedoes probably is the typical for these ships because they don't need to be that big for a torpedo. And it was easier just to go and put the same torpedo on every single ship system. Make it easier to replace and repair if need be. It's very cost effective to do that in war. Now for these last few. This is where things are going to get more interesting. Tier 9, St. Louis. I'm going to say St. Louis because that's how they say it in French for sure. It's not Louis, it's Louise. And those guns look huge. And look at the size of that tower up there. Whew! I see torpedoes, float planes. I see anti-air all over the place. This on top of the turrets, and the second turret is really high above the deck. And now we're starting to see this facade of like the flat deck in the back, just like the battleship we have for premium. And she was the last one apparently designed for 1940. Once the but probably was halted on the construction because of the war. Apparently this was designed in 1940. 1940 is right around when that war started, so probably she never was built, but was designed. So all designs were halted until then. Alright, so again, 3 triple 203s, probably 50 caliber. She has 6 of the dual 100s, 6 of the dual 37s, the torpedoes, and apparently 33 knots probably is going to be the speed for these kind of ships. Based on screenshots though, we can assume though that there's bore 4s and all around cannons on this thing all over the decks, but we'll see what happens. Now this tier 10, we can't see very much. They didn't give us a really good... We can kind of see what we have here. It's beautiful looking. But doesn't scream to me like it was designed in real life. And apparently from people have told me it isn't. It's essentially a Super St. Louis that was based on any one design. Since the design can be used for reference, I'm assuming this was a paper ship. It was a beefed up version of the Tier 9. But let's assume that those are the same caliber guns, at least in diameter. They're probably 203s, and they look like they're 55 caliber in lengths, which are pretty potent. Looks like also they have the dual purpose artillery on the sides of the ships, and I think I see possibly more torpedoes again. I don't know. Around here, I see one, and there's another cut in the deck here. Could be another set here, but we can't really tell. So tier 10 will be Henry IV. This is probably naming after one of the French kings, since they were a different culture at that time. But we'll assume that that ship's probably going to be around 32, 34 knots, and it's pretty bulky and pretty massive for a ship. Now, do we know anything else? No. Am I excited? Yes. I'm really I mean, I can't really show enthusiasm like, oh my god, for myself, but these cruisers look amazing. If I go back, is there any ship that I'm really interested in? I really like the cool looks of 2. But in practicality, what ships I really like? Looking at them, all of them. Which ones I'm interested in? I'm interested in... I'd say I'm interested in Tier 5. That ship looks pretty fun to play with. Very low to the ground, so it's going to be difficult to citadel unless you're really up close. And I don't know why, but Tier 8 is screaming at me that looks like it's fun. Of course, I'm going to get all these ships for us to play. So, that would be it. I'm hoping you guys are looking at these ships with enthusiasm. If you guys have any other information you want to throw in about these ships, go right ahead in the comments. I'm sure everybody, just like me, will be more than happy to gain whatever knowledge you have about these ships as much as I do as well. Because historically, the French always had interesting ships. It's just they never really saw much combat because of, in certain aspects, because of the war. They did do some actions. I can't 100% say anything about it because I really had a hard time trying my lifehood. I had a hard time trying to find any history on French warfare at those times, but I'm sure that they did a lot. Even in World War One, they've done a lot. But now we're gonna get French cruisers. Are there gonna be other things? I've heard other rumors of other things, but that is in another time and another discussion that will be worth talking about separately. So until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. As always, take care.